Next question is from CMoss23. For each of you, what 5 things do you wish they taught in school?
Oh, I'll tell you the number one thing. I'll tell you the number one thing that I think they need to teach in school is they need to teach kids about money.
Yeah.
Finance
Debt
was first. for me.
finance, credit cards, loans,
investing, living below your means.
I just don't understand. This is such a big deal that you don't like. They teach you that you have to learn this on your own after you get out of college. It's just such a big deal that
They teach you how to get in debt, and that's about it.
they don't teach you anything. They just tell you to get in debt. It's crazy to me.
I think Millionaire Next Door should be a read, something that every kid in high school should have to read. I just think should be a mandatory read. Unfortunately, by the time I found that was a good recommendation from Mike Matthews, after I had gone through all the bad behaviors around money and then finally pieced together all that stuff, because it's a lot of the stuff in there. I was like, wow, I would never guess that. I would never guess the type of car most millionaires drive, and how when the most things they have in common, or like how below their means they live, and the 5 most the 5 most common jobs of millionaires. I would have never guessed that either. Like there's things that you assume that if someone's a millionaire just because they make lots of money, and that's actually not true at all. It has more to do with their relationship with money that has allowed them to stack it and invest it and be smart with it. And so I agree, money. Self-awareness would be another thing. So like teaching kids about emotional intelligence and self-awareness and social awareness, which has a lot, especially today with just like communication, working with others. Also like the self-awareness tool of understanding how to reflect on yourself and be constantly pursuing growth. Like I just think that is a skill that is underdeveloped in most people. It's not talked about and highlighted in schools. So that would be something I would teach alongside with money.
Let me give you an example of the money one. This is why I think it's such a big deal. Okay. If you had a $500,000 loan, which would be like a house, right, at 3% interest, which we had that not that long ago, your monthly interest, in other words, the money that you're going to interest, not going to your house, it's literally going to the bank, is $700 a month. You go up to 5%, you think, what's the big difference? 5%? You're now paying almost $1,300 in interest. That's the difference with those two things. Do that over the course of the loan, and you're talking about a significant amount of money that's gone. And most people have no idea what that looks like. Where I know kids will graduate college with credit card debt, will pay a minimum payment. I've done this before where I'll show like young cousins of mine. I'll be like, do you realize you've spent to pay that down that $7,000 loan that you're paying interest? You've already spent $25,000. And they look at me like,
or you paid 3 times what it's actually worth because you got a loan on it.
That was a big one. I like what you said about I don't know what that we call that, like philosophy. They used to do that, right? There used to be a class that was
I don't know. You could probably umbrella it under emotional
yeah.
intelligence, right? Because under emotional intelligence you would categorize like self-awareness, social awareness. I think those are.
I think entrepreneurship in terms of like teaching somebody how to run and operate a small business, it would be massively valuable. And 2, would give perspective on in terms of all these policies that are being thrown out there that really cause friction, and people have no idea how that affects like the entire ecosystem within like their local communities and everything else. It would just I think that like most people I tend to argue with like have no idea like what it involves in terms of like being able to sell and pitch, a product, but also to be able to like, organize staff, like all of the inner workings of a business, I think is so valuable to take into any kind of profession.
What's funny is that back in the day, there were certain classes that were required that they eventually took off, but they took out as being requirements. But I think that there was a lot of wisdom in what they were telling kids to do, because now we know the value. And I'll give you one simple example. Music was required for a while in a lot of schools. If you go back, 30, 40 years, everybody took some music. And then they took it out because like, it's not science, it's not technology, it's not math. Music, we now know, the data now shows, contributes to your ability to learn all those other topics, science, technology.
It helps you learn better.
It helps you learn better. The brain is wired to remember through music. The fact that we take that out is incredible.
Yeah.
It's terrible. I think they should put that back in. I also think PE or fitness, right? We started taking that out. Taking that out. Why? Because, they can do that on their own. We need to focus on, again, science, technology, and math. We know that fit, healthy bodies learn better, are less depressed, less anxious, and just overall people are going to innovate better. You're going to have better citizens. That was wisdom. Put that back in. Make that something where it's required learning, where the kids go out, and especially nowadays where if they're not playing a structured sport, they're not playing. They're not doing anything. Put that in there. I think that's another one.
I also think that more effort towards economics. I think that the economics class that I took was like half the year with coupled with my history, and it was
it's all theoretical,
very
too.
biased the way they taught it. Like I think really getting kids to understand really how the world works money wise, financially. Like I think we would look at. I love Peter Schiff's book. It's called
that's right.
Why Economy Grows and Why It Crashes. I believe something is close to that. I think that he teaches it in such a layman's way that a kid could understand like that. And I think understanding fundamentally how our economy got to where it's at really makes you look at some of the things that we try and pass today as like ridiculous and silly, and things that we think are helping others, but yet in the grand scheme of things are really potentially hurting all of us. And so if you don't have a good grasp or understanding of basic economics and how we built this country, I think that you can fall into this trap of thinking, oh yeah, that's a good plan. We should give money to that person or help that person. And like, that's
what would be good too would be some kind of mentorship where a class or a year or semester would be. We have all these local businesses that allow you to go work for them. They're not going to pay you, but you get a grade because you learn a lot working for someone else. You learn a lot how to work with people. You learn how to produce. You learn responsibility and confidence.
You used to be able to do that.
Yeah.
You used to be, you get a work permit.
You get that in college.
You get a work permit at like
college.
15. I did that. You get a work permit at 15, and then you get some credit to, I forgot what credit I got to, what class that got credited to, but I remember that I could do that back then.
And then, maybe some basic, like they used to call it home ec. You learn how to, like fix things and how to like cook, because you get these kids that move out. They don't know how to do a damn thing for themselves.
They're worthless.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to totally bring that up in terms just the basic things to keep you to not just survive, but like just basic things around the house that you could fix. You don't need to like, rely on other people to do it. Not to say you have to do it. It's just that you got to know how to do that kind of stuff. Like, so you're not worthless.
We keep going. We might write a whole new curriculum here.
You know what the problem is with everything that we're saying? You know what the problem is? All of this would go through the filter of, public schools. Meaning if I'm like, we need a health class to teach people how to be healthy and eat healthy and all that stuff, it's going to go through, their special interests and all that stuff. And then they're going to be like, hey kids, here's what's healthy.
They're going to follow some new pyramid that's upside down and stupid.
That's stupid. And here's debt. Here's what's good. Go get a huge student loan and learn, this degree that's not going to get you a job. But it's worth it because I know.
Anyways.
Terrible.